Just how well prepared was WA for this current outbreak? Did the government use the past 10 months of being COVID-free to effectively plan for this scenario?
Well, the simple answer is we never knew how well prepared we were, and there are many of us with an interest in public health or an expertise in public health that were really concerned. We have great natural protections in the state of Western Australia, with the vast majority of the population in Perth or immediately surrounding Perth. I've always referred to my hometown as the last railway station on earth. But what we did know, and what we continually, through the AMA and other organisations, warned the government about, is that hotel quarantine was not up to scratch. It was the only way this virus was ever going to get into Western Australia. And the question needs to be asked, exactly how did this security guard acquire the infection?
I interviewed the Shadow Resources Minister, Madeleine King, earlier in this bulletin, and she said, oh, well, it was inevitable that the virus would get to Western Australia. Was it inevitable? And what sort of changes would you like to see to hotel quarantine to prevent further outbreaks?
Well, I think that there's debates about whether or not that is the right place to house people, and I've heard those opinions. I've been listening keenly to the opinions of those of our leaders in charge of this. I think it's important to say that in my experience previously and on this issue, that the politicians and the bureaucracies, both at state and Commonwealth level, are doing their absolute best and quite sincerely have felt the need to protect the public. So I've never doubted for 1 minute their desire to do good, but there's been too much she'll be right in the attitudes and the answers to the experts. So when my colleague AMA-WA President Andrew Miller has consistently pointed to the weaknesses in the system, when other people have consistently pointed at the absolute refusal to acknowledge aerosol-borne transmission, we knew we had a problem. And any system, any organism will fail at its weakest point. And any system that relies on some of the most vulnerable and lowly paid workers to stop the complete shutdown of our whole society, our whole economy, is one that's destined to fail. The level of scrutiny placed by the health department on this system is a number of levels below what would be demanded of those resource giants that in many ways have bankrolled this state and this country over the past 12 months. We need to look to industry and look at their rules, their regulations, and see whether hotel quarantine meets standards even approaching those.
Was it a smart move to shut down as quickly as McGowan did? Do you expect that lockdown period will need to be extended from the conversations that you're having with people pretty close to the action? I'm optimistic that it won't be a long-term lockdown. I think that it was probably a proportionate response, and certainly one that was done in good faith to protect Western Australians. We're going to look at today's announcement and tomorrow's announcement with keen interest. I strongly expect that this individual, who I've got a lot of sympathy for, it's so important that we don't blame this one individual. This one individual is a victim of a failed system. We had the appalling incident earlier this year when the previous health minister in Victoria blamed a GP. We cannot blame the individuals who are trying to eke out a living, often doing a second and third job. But we need to fix that system. We need to pay people appropriately so they don't do other jobs. My expectation is that the close personal household contacts of the individual security guard will test positive, and we've just got to hope that the contact tracing expertise and resourcing exists within Health WA so that we can find out exactly who has been exposed. We saw record lines at both public and private testing facilities yesterday. The places where people might have acquired the infection have been made very clear to people. We hope that the sacrifices that Western Australians are making over the next 5 days is sufficient to protect them and to stop spread to other parts of Australia.
I mentioned you're an obstetrician. No doubt you've spent the week fielding questions from anxious parents. I feel for anyone going in to deliver their baby this week. What does it actually mean, the lockdown, for expectant parents?
Well, policies vary from state to state, and they vary indeed from hospital to hospital. But it is absolutely important that the health benefits of being accompanied by a support person when you're in labour, or if you're having a caesarean section, are acknowledged, and that we measure that health benefit when we measure the public health risk of having people have support people and visitors. So what's been put in place very quickly is a ban on visitors. What is so important is that we maintain the ability for women to have their support persons. That'll usually be their partner. That is so important. But obviously there's a great deal of fear because women have heard those stories of people in other parts of the world denied access to a support person at a time when they're very vulnerable.